The air in our bedroom felt heavier than usual, thick with the kind of silence that presses against your chest. I stood by the dresser, my fingers tracing the edge of a photo frame. Us smiling 6 years ago at the pier. Her lips hadn't touched mine in months, not even a fleeting peck. Last night, I'd leaned in, hopeful, and she'd turned away, muttering about being tired. I didn't push. I never do anymore. But this morning, as sunlight sliced through the blinds, something in me snapped. Not loud, not violent, but quiet, like a thread giving way after years of strain. I decided to find out why. Our house was a museum of routine. The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and her lavender perfume, lingering like a ghost. I poured coffee, the mug warm in my hands, and watched her from the doorway. Claire sat at the table, scrolling through her phone, her thumb moving with the precision of a metronome. Her hair, chestnut and loose, caught the light, and for a moment, I could almost forget the distance between us. Almost. Morning, I said, my voice softer than I meant. She glanced up, her hazel eyes flickering with something. Guilt? Annoyance? Morning, she replied, too quick, and went back to her screen. The knot in my stomach tightened. I'd noticed the signs for weeks. The late nights at work. The way her phone was always face down now, its screen lighting up at odd hours. The perfume she wore more often. Not for me but for some unspoken reason. I told myself it was stress, her promotion, the long hours. But denial is a fragile shield, and mine was cracking. I sipped my coffee, bitter on my tongue, and decided today was the day I'd stop pretending. At noon, she left for a meeting. She kissed the air near my cheek, her heels clicking on the hardwood as she hurried out. The door closed, and the house felt emptier than it should. I sat on the couch, her laptop on the coffee table, its sleek silver surface daring me to cross a line. My hands trembled as I opened it. Her password, our anniversary, 0418, still worked. A small, foolish part of me hoped that meant something. The screen glowed, and I hesitated, my heart pounding like a drum in a quiet room. Then I clicked on her messages. The first few were mundane: work, her sister, a friend. But then a name, Ethan. No last name, just Ethan, with a string of texts stretching back months. My chest burned as I scrolled. Miss you already, he'd written last week. Can't wait to see you. With a heart emoji she'd mirrored back. My vision blurred, not from tears but from the kind of rage that feels like drowning. I kept reading, each word a shard of glass. They'd met at her office, a consultant on her team. Coffee dates. Late night calls. A hotel receipt pinned in the thread, dated 2 weeks ago. My wife, my Claire, was someone else's. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. The living room, with its faded rug and the couch we'd picked out together, felt like a stage for someone else's life. I wanted to scream, to smash something, but instead, I sat, staring at the wall, replaying every moment I'd ignored. The way she'd laugh at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. The excuses that came too easily. The way her touch had grown mechanical, like a chore. How had I been so blind? When she came home, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the floor. She kicked off her shoes, her smile practiced. Long day, she said, tossing her bag on the counter. I stood in the kitchen, my arms crossed, the weight of what I knew pressing down on me. How was your meeting? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside. She froze just for a second, then shrugged. Fine. Boring. You know how it is. Her eyes didn't meet mine. I could have confronted her then. I could have spilled every detail. Ethan, the texts, the hotel. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she moved, so familiar, so much like the woman I'd loved for a decade. Or maybe it was fear, of losing her, of admitting our life was a lie. Instead I nodded, my jaw tight. Dinner's ready, I said, turning away. She didn't notice the tremor in my hands as I set the table. That night, I lay awake, her breathing soft beside me. The bed felt too big, the space between us a chasm. I thought about the man I'd been. Hopeful, trusting. The one who'd proposed on a rainy beach, who'd believed in forever. I thought about her, too, the Claire who'd cried at our vows, who'd once looked at me like I was her world. What had changed? Was it me? Had I failed her somehow, pushed her into someone else's arms? Or was she just someone new? Someone I'd never truly known? The next morning, I called in sick. Claire left early, her goodbye brief, her perfume trailing behind. I waited until her car disappeared down the street, then went to her office. I'd never done this before, shown up unannounced. The building was all glass and steel, cold and imposing. Her assistant, a young woman with a nervous smile, said Claire was in a meeting. With Ethan? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. Her hesitation was answer enough. I didn't go inside. I sat in my car, parked across the street, and watched. An hour later, they emerged, Claire and a man I assumed was Ethan. He was tall, polished, his hand brushing her arm as they laughed. She looked alive, brighter than she'd been with me in years. My heart twisted, a mix of grief and fury. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened, imagining confronting them. Imagining her face when she realized I knew. But I didn't. I drove home, the city blurring past. In our bedroom, I pulled out a suitcase, my hands moving on autopilot. I packed slowly, shirts, socks, a photo of us from that pier. I didn't know where I'd go, only that I couldn't stay in a house built on lies. As I zipped the bag, the front door opened. Claire's voice called out, "Honey, I'm home early. You here?" My breath caught. This was it. The moment I dreaded and craved. I walked downstairs, the suitcase in hand. She stood in the kitchen, her smile faltering as she saw me. "What's that?" she asked, her voice small. "I know." I said, the words heavy, final. Her eyes widened, but she didn't speak. Ethan. The texts. The hotel. Each word felt like a stone dropping into still water. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her hands twisting together. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It wasn't supposed to happen. It just did." "Why?" My voice broke, raw and desperate. Was I not enough? She shook her head, her sob choking the air. "It's not you. It's me. I got lost and he was there." Her words were flimsy, a half-truth, but they cut deeper than any lie. I wanted to hate her, to scream, but all I felt was emptiness. I turned to leave, the suitcase dragging behind me. "Wait," she called, her voice cracking. "Please. We can fix this." I paused at the door, my back to her. The man I was yesterday would have stayed, would have fought. But that man was gone, buried under her betrayal. "You made your choice," I said, not looking back. "Now I'm making mine." The door closed behind me, the sound echoing in my chest. I stepped into the dusk, the world quiet except for the hum of my own heartbeat. I didn't know where I was going, but for the first time in months I felt free, not whole, not healed, but free.